So thank you for joining us. And let me quickly introduce Keisha Peterson. Keisha has worked in various compliance roles within Baruch College for over 17 years. Her interests are in providing training and resources to faculty, staff, and students regarding research compliance. Ms. Peterson is currently the Director of Research Compliance at Baruch and is in charge of the IRBManager training of Human Research Protection Program coordinators and is responsible for creating manuals and instructional videos. I think most importantly, however, Keisha is a proud City College of New York alum, graduating with a Bachelor of Arts degree in English language and literature. So again, welcome, Keisha. Thank you for joining us, and the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, and thank you to all of you for coming. As most of me said it, my name is Keisha Peterson, and I'm the Director for Research Compliance and Outreach. Today, we are going to conduct a short PowerPoint presentation. The Research Compliance Analyst at Baruch College, Janet Badillo, is going to actually conduct a small PowerPoint presentation just to go over certain features of IRBManager, also some announcements that you should be aware of. And I will come back at the end of her presentation and do a short demo, just showing you around the system, around the dashboard, and showing you the new features of the IRBManager application. Janet, you can begin.
Hi, everyone.
If I can interrupt for just briefly, how would you like to handle questions? Would you like to take them at the end? Have them put them in the chat? I can help in that respect if you'd like.
If we can either do it as we go along, because it is a presentation, so we don't mind if someone wants to interrupt with a question. You can definitely put it in the chat or use the raise hand feature, because I'll be looking at the, I should be able to see anyone who raises their hand using the Zoom feature. Yeah, okay. Whichever one works best.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Janet Badillo, and I am the Research Compliance Specialist at Baruch. And as Keisha said, I'll be doing a very short presentation, just highlighting some of the features of IRBManager. And so IRBManager, the way you'll be able to access IRBManager is by logging in using the link CUNY, by typing in cuny.my.irbmanager.com, and you'll be able to log in using your CUNY First credentials. Just a reminder, those are the credentials that end with @login.cuny.edu. And if you don't remember any of your credentials, you can simply reset them by visiting the CUNY First login page. Just a quick Google search and you'll be able to go back into the CUNY First and reset those credentials. For those of you that, for those CUNY researchers that do not have CUNY First credentials and do not expect to have CUNY First credentials, you can request an IRBManager account by emailing irbmanager@cuny.edu with the list of information that's presented in front of you. And just to reiterate, it's for those CUNY researchers that do not expect to have CUNY First credentials in the future. So if you were recently hired or you're recently new at CUNY and in the future you do expect to have CUNY First credentials, just wait it out and just wait to get your CUNY First credentials, and eventually you'll be able to log in, because then it just creates multiple profiles in the system, and it's better to just wait it out, trust me. Also, in terms of if you request a an IRB manager account, a manual IRB manager account to be requested, please expect 1 to 2 business days for that to take place. The IRB manager submission process. So once you've logged into IRB manager and you've created an application, the faculty members and students, along with their faculty advisors, will submit the applications to the HRPP office. Those applications from student PIs will be forwarded to, so just keep in mind that, you know, the applications that are submitted by student PIs are going to be forwarded to faculty advisors for review and approval. And once approved by the advisor, those projects will be submitted to the HRPP office for review. So this process is a little bit different from what we're a little bit used to in ID8. You know, in ID8, you know, student PIs would be able to submit directly to the HRPP office without sometimes having their advisors even look at their protocols. IRB manager prevents this from happening by forwarding the protocols directly to the advisor once the student submits. So essentially, the application is technically actually going to be submitted by the advisor to the HRPP office instead. So just keep that in mind. So moving forward with IRB manager, student PIs are actually going to be, once they complete their applications and they submit, those applications are actually going to be sent directly to the advisor to be reviewed. And once they're reviewed and approved, they're going to be submitted. And once they're submitted by the advisor, that's when they actually get submitted to the HRPP office for further review. Once the projects are submitted to the HRPP office, they undergo a pre-review process. The HRPP coordinator and staff will review all submissions to ensure that they're clear, consistent, complete, and that they conform to federal regulations, CUNY policies and procedures, and campus administrative policies. If HRPP staff or IRB or the IRB determines that the project requires additional information or modifications, the project will be returned to the PI for revisions. And once the PI completes those revisions, they'll return the protocol, they'll resubmit the protocol back to the HRPP office. In the case of student PIs, when they resubmit, please remember that they'll be resubmitting back to their advisors. And then when the advisors take a look, they'll be the ones to submit back to the HRPP office. And once the project has been determined to be complete, either the HRPP staff will make a determination, either a non-human subjects research determination or an exemption determination, or it will be forwarded to the IRB for review. IRB manager announcements. The PIs or key personnel must log into IRB manager with their CUNY First information. This is going to help remove duplicate profiles so researchers can access their protocols. And so that research personnel, such as co-PIs, staff, and advisors, can be added to existing protocols in IRB manager. If PIs do not see their projects in your dashboard, please email your campus HRPP coordinator. You have to email your coordinator so that we can consolidate your profiles. When adding key personnel to X forms, please make sure that profiles that are being added have a CUNY First username. As a reminder, the CUNY First username will end in @login.cuny.edu. If you cannot find key personnel in IRB Manager with a CUNY First login information, that means that they have not logged into IRB Manager. So it probably would be a good idea to remind them that they would need to log into IRB Manager. So just shoot them a quick email, just letting them know that they need to log into IRBManager. Before starting or submitting any X form for an existing IDEATE protocol, IDEATE study information must be transferred into IRBManager. And we have many helpful resources for you to review or to watch. So I highly recommend you take a look and review those if you are interested in transferring your protocols over into IRBManager. And research personnel, such as faculty advisors, study coordinators, research assistants, they will be added to IRBManager protocols during a second data migration. And that's expected to be completed after December 2021. So for example, if you do not see a protocol, an active protocol in which you are listed as a faculty advisor, study coordinator, or research assistant, the reason for that is because chances are you will be added after the second data migration. It will appear on your dashboard after the second data migration. And so now we're going to compare a little bit of some of the features in IRBManager and how they compare against IDEATE. So the new protocol submissions, and they were initially known as IDEATE, as initial IRB applications in IDEATE. New protocol submissions started in IRBManager will not be issued a protocol number until the HRPP coordinator accepts the submission. This process occurs once the coordinator makes a determination, such as a non-human subjects research determination or an exemption determination, or when the project is sent to the IRB for review.
Hold on for 1 minute, Janet. I see your message, Beverly. The older IRB applications, so the IRB applications that were approved on IDEATE have to be transferred to IRBManager. I believe that CUNY announced in the summer that they were hiring student workers to do the transfer for researchers. Unfortunately, that hasn't materialized yet. And so at Baruch, what we're doing is we're recommending that people pull all of their information from IDEATE, and that's all of the forms, the approval letters, and the currently approved documents. I'm not sure when the service from CUNY Central will be available, but if you need to submit an amendment or change your proposal, you will need to transfer the application yourself. I don't know if CCNY has a process at their office to transfer it, but right now, the way that we're doing it at Baruch is that we've created a video to assist researchers in that process, so that they can, they can get to the information and understand how to do the transfers with the least amount of effort. The application, and I'll get into this when I start my part of the presentation, the IRBManager application is about 95% the same as IDEATE. So it's mostly just cutting and pasting and attaching forms. I believe there was one more. Ready? Yes. So Holly, you can still submit a final report on IDEATE. As long as, I believe, our office is allowing people to submit their final reports until that system is completely closed down. I believe Tricia will probably concur that that's probably the same at CCNY. So you can still submit your final reports through IDA.
Okay. So just following up on what I was just saying previously, with IDA, initially, as soon as you created an application, you were basically given a protocol number. However, with IRBManager, you will have to wait a little bit until you are given an actual protocol number. The protocol number is created once the coordinator makes a determination or once the project is sent to the IRB for review. So just keep that in mind. So just I don't want anyone trying to figure out, where's my protocol number. So just so you know, a protocol number is created a little bit later once the coordinator makes a determination or once the IRB is reviewing the project. And then also, IRBManager allows researchers to keep track of submissions in which they're listed as PI, co-PI, faculty advisor, or key personnel through a feature called the dashboard. Keisha's going to present that to you in her part of the presentation, and that's essentially going to be what replaces the to-do list, the to-do list that was in IDA. So what used to be the to-do list in IDA is now the dashboard in IRBManager. Also, in IRBManager, what we never actually had in IDA, we now have in IRBManager, which is two features, which allows for the collaboration between research teams, advisors, and extends the communication between HRPP coordinator and staff, between the HRPP office and researchers. And those two features are called notes and collaboration. And once again, Keisha will show those two features to you. And they are very, 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 very cool to use. And then researchers can also obtain copies of blank forms to create PDFs of complete submissions, create PDF copies of questions with notes to assist in developing and revising submissions. And it's a very easy to access. And there's no, you'll see that it's very, once again, Keisha will show everything to you. It's very easy to access. So you'll be able to print blank copies of applications as well as copies of the applications with HRPP coordinator comments and also your completed applications as well. A new feature that also IRBManager has that IDA never had is called the copy for a new protocol submission function. And what the copy for a new protocol submission function does is that it copies existing applications that were previously approved and it creates new submissions with them. So what it does is that it takes a previously approved protocol and it creates a brand new protocol, but it generates the blank fields and it just populates those fields with the previously approved application. So for example, if you have an application if you have a new study that you're going to do that's very similar to an existing study that you previously completed that was previously approved by the IRB, and you just don't want to recreate the wheel, and you don't want to, you just want to generate the language that was previously approved by the IRB, you can just easily use the copy for a new protocol submission function to regenerate those blank fields and populate those fields with the previously approved language. And that concludes my portion of the presentation, and I will pass it on to Keisha to show you the live application in IRBManager.
Thank you, Janet. one of the things that I love about IRBManager is its transparency. When you log on to the system, you're going to be seeing something that we call the dashboard. This is what the hub of the system, and it allows you really to see where everything is, where everything is in the process, all of your forms, all of your documents in IRBManager. The first folder is called the projects folder. And within the projects folder should be a list of all of your approved forms. So if you log on to IRBManager and you don't see an application, and the only applications that you should see are either applications that were approved on IRBManager or active protocols that were migrated from ID8. The second folder that you'll see is the Xforms folder. The Xform folder is a great folder. It really contains all of the applications that you've created in the system. Also, if you are a faculty advisor and your student adds you as a collaborator to the application, you'll be able to see their forms here and access their forms from your dashboard. A quick note about what we call filters, we also call them buttons. The awaiting your attention button is a great filter. And what it allows you to do is, as a faculty member or student, you receive a lot of emails, and you'll be receiving a lot of emails from IRBManager when either you've submitted an application, or a student submitted an application that requires your review or signature, or your IRB office requests additional revisions or additional information be added to your application. Sometimes you lose these emails. So what IRBManager does is it allows you to filter using the awaiting your attention button. And what that does is that just shows you all of the applications that are awaiting some sort of action from you, either as if someone submits an application on your behalf, it may be awaiting your signature. If you're a faculty advisor, it may be awaiting your review and approval. And if you're just a researcher, it just may be something that the IRB sent back to you that just requires some revisions. So you don't have to keep track of the emails that are being sent through IRBManager because all of that information is on your dashboard. Another thing about the dashboard is if you look at the entry here, I'm just going to highlight it. At the top of each entry is where your application is in the process. So a lot of the questions that you have is, when you submit an application, where is it? Is it under review? Did I submit it correctly? If you look in your dashboard under Xforms, you can always see the status of your submission. And the data entry status is always going to be the status that it really means that it's with you and it hasn't been forwarded for review. But there could be statuses that say, PI signature required, faculty advisor signature required. And the way that you would know if your project was sent to the HRPP office is the status would say HRPP coordinator review. Another feature of the dashboard is the ease of use. One of the great things about this is, in ID8, you used to have to kind of search to find the create submission link and then hit create submission link. But the Start Xform link is on your front page. And so whenever you want to create a new application, all you have to do is log on and click on the Start Xform link. Now you're going to see a bunch of choices. For the the first form on this in this section, for most of you, this is not going to be relevant, but if you were going to enter into an agreement with another IRB, such as maybe you have a collaborator at another institution and you wanted their IRB to be the IRB of record, this would be the form that you would fill out and submit to Tricia, who would then submit it to CUNY Central for review and approval. For most of you will be using the protocol form, which is the initial IRB application. If you want to print out a blank copy of the form, you're going to click on the print icon to the left of the form. It's going to give you you can print it out, and it's going to give you all the questions that are on this form. Now, the only note that I have, caveat that I have about this process is that 100% of the time, you're not going to be filling out every question on the form. The IRBManager form is conditioned, and it's really questions appear and disappear based on your responses. So no one is going to have to fill out the entire form. However, you can use this if you're, a person that needs tactile paper and you want to see the questions and you want to provide responses, maybe, write in your responses before you actually create the application and submit the application on IRBManager, then you can do so. For those who have used ID8, you see how easy that was on IRBManager. Normally with ID8, it's sort of a toss-up as to whether you can print an application. Once you get to this section, you just click on the link. Click on Start a New Protocol Form, and your new application will appear. As Janet stated in her presentation, the application itself, I want you to think of the application as being in the cloud. And what I mean by that is, when you add people to your application as either a faculty advisor, key personnel, etc., they are not going to have edit access immediately. So in order to give them edit access to your application, you need to add them as collaborators. For students on this call, I would always suggest that you give your faculty advisor full access to your application. One of the great benefits of IRBManager is that it allows you to collaborate in an easier way than ID8. You don't have to reassign protocols. All you have to do is just add someone as a collaborator. So in order to add them as a collaborator, you're going to click on the collaborators link at the top of the form. And this process only really has to be done for initial IRB applications. Once an IRB application is approved in IRBManager, everyone that's listed as a key personnel, whether they're faculty advisors, research assistants, co-PIs, etc., will have edit access. But for initial submissions, because of the way that IRBManager is structured, technically it doesn't become a protocol. It isn't issued a protocol number until the coordinator, quote unquote, accepts it into the system. And that's the reason why faculty advisors and key personnel don't get initial access to the application. So once you've clicked on the collaborators link, this will appear. You just type in the person's name. You give the access levels. There are 4. One is just view only, which would just give them view only access. One is edit and manage. And the access level that we recommend all students give to their faculty advisors is edit, manage, and submit. You can put in a note or not. If you'd like, you can also have the system copy you on the email. And then you would click on the add button. Once you've added the person as a collaborator, they're going to receive an email from IRBManager saying that they've been added as a collaborator to a study. With that email, there will be a link to this protocol. And also the dashboard will be updated with a link to the protocol as well. The reason why ORCO, which is my office, always recommends that students add their faculty advisors as collaborators is so that the faculty advisor can assist the student during the development of the submission. We found that if, it's very helpful for the advisor to be able to see what the student sees, and it also gives the faculty advisor the opportunity to work closely with the student and to help the student as they develop their submission for IRB review. Another feature that I love in IRBManager is the ability to add notes. This is a great feature for research teams and for faculty advisors who wish to add notes and to communicate on the IRB form. For Ying Li, you don't need to generate a new account for IRBManager. The IRBManager system is linked to CUNY First. So all you need to do is to log in. If you have IRBs in ID8, what you would do is to log in to IRBManager with your CUNY First account so that your profile, your CUNY First profile is added to the system. And then you will contact Trisha because Trisha will need to contact her IRBManager administrator to consolidate your profiles. Just to give you a further information or further explanation on that, when we migrated your files over to IRBManager, and it's really shells, just the basic information regarding your research studies, a profile was generated by IRBManager. Due to the fact that we're using SSOs, which is the CUNY First information, CUNY First also generates another profile. So what we have to do is we have to actually consolidate your profiles and move your shells over to your CUNY First profile so that when you log on, you can view them on your dashboard. So if anytime you log on using your CUNY First username and password and you don't see your approved ID8 submissions, let us know, let Trisha know so that she can request that your profiles be consolidated. As I was stating, the add note feature is a great feature for research teams, also for faculty advisors to communicate with their students. The add note feature is available on every question in the IRBManager application. So the way that you would use it is you would just click on the add note and you would just type in, a note to your student. And you would click on save. And once you click on save, a bunch of other features appear. The first feature is that it allows you to add attachments. So if there's something that you want your student to attach, or there's something that you want them to see, you can add an attachment from your computer. You can also, with the green curvy arrow, add an addendum to your note. So you can add an additional comment under your note. You can edit the note by clicking on the hand and paper icon. You can delete your note by clicking on the X icon, the red X. And you can also resolve it. And that just means that you've resolved the note, and the note is still appearing here, but it's actually appearing in a dim way, which tells us that the note has been resolved. Another feature of the IRBManager application is the ability to toggle from section to section. So in ID8, you would have to complete different sections in order to progress through the application. So using the drop-down menu at the top, you can go through different sections of the IRBManager submission, and without having to complete all of the questions in each section. This is good for if if you're taking time, you're developing your submission, so you may not have all of the information, but you may have some, so you could go through each section and fill it out in a leisurely way, instead of having to be stopped or not being able to progress in the application because you don't have all of the information. One of the most important questions on the IRBManager application is the campus question. It's a little different than in ID8. The IRBManager actually uses the campus question to route to different campuses. And if you, so for PIs, since you're all, CCNY faculty, for CCNY faculty, they should always indicate City College of New York. If you're a student and your faculty, like you're a CCNY student, but your faculty advisor is at Queens College, then you would indicate the campus where your faculty advisor has their primary affiliation. So if it's at Queens College, then it would be Queens College as the campus. In ID8, it used to be, that the campus indicated in the application was always the campus of the student. Here, it needs to be either the primary campus of the faculty member or the primary campus of the faculty advisor. And that's important because, as I stated, the application is actually being routed to the campus indicated in the campus question. Another good feature of IRB Manager is the ability to attach attachments at the end of the form. Previously, in ID8, the attachments were scattered throughout the form, and we would receive feedback from some of our researchers that it would stop them from progressing through the application if they didn't have their consent form created, or they didn't have the recruitment statement done. So what we did was we put all of the attachments at the back of the application. And this section is going to populate different sections in the based really on your responses. So if you respond that you're recruiting subjects, then there'll be a recruitment section. If you're consenting, there'll be a consent section. To add an attachment, what you would need to do is to click on the Add Attachment button. You can leave, unlike ID8, you can leave the name of the uploaded file blank. You'll choose the type of the attachment. And you can select the file. Click on Open. One of the great features with IRBManager is that you can select multiple files at a time. So you can keep selecting until you're done. So like, let's say you're in the consent section and you have 4 or 5 consent documents. You can continue to select as many consent documents as you need. And then just click on the attachment button at the bottom. And it's going to attach all of those documents to the section. From your dashboard, if you need to file an amendment, what you would do is click on the protocol number under the projects folder. You're going to scroll to the reference X form section on your protocol site page. On the left side of the page, you're going to see 2 sheets of paper. You're going to click on this 2 sheets of paper, and 2 choices are going to appear. As Janet explained in her presentation, there is a submit a new protocol action, which is going to allow you to make a copy of the protocol for a new submission. One of the great things about this feature is that it not only makes a copy of the protocol, but it also makes a copy of the attachments with the protocol. So you could actually use this as a way of revising the application, but you can also revise the attachments as well. For amendments, you're going to choose amend this protocol. Then click on the start a new protocol form. And the amendment summary will appear. Most of you will be familiar with the first question, as that is the same question that appears in ID8. There has been some additional instruction because what I just showed you as the process for amendments is also the same process that you would use when you're ready to populate your forms or to transfer your forms from ID8 into IRBManager. You would need to create an amendment. So there are 2 types of amendments. The first is just simply moving your data over from ID8 into IRBManager. And the second is actually the regular amendment, which is I'm making a change, I'm adding key personnel, I'm updating, I'm adding a new subject population, or I'm updating my survey research instruments, etc. If you're only populating the approved protocol information, making no changes, no updates, what you would do is click here and just put in an A. As I explained previously, most of the questions are the same in ID8 and IRBManager. So it's for just regular transfers of information. It's just going to be a lot of cutting and pasting into the document. If you need to add key personnel that have already been approved, contact your HRPP coordinator, or you can actually contact IRBManager at cuny.edu. Janet will put that information in the chat. If you need your approved personnel to be added, please contact them to make sure that they have already logged into IRBManager with their CUNY First information so that CUNY Central can add these persons to your protocols. In the signature section, there is a question here that is important, and it's are you only creating this submission in order to populate your currently approved protocol information. This question refers to whether or not you are only creating the amendment to transfer information from ID8 into IRBManager, or are you actually making a change to your application? If you answer yes to this question, when you're ready to submit the application, it's going to save the application on IRBManager, but it's not going to submit it to your HRPP office because it just considers it, you're just saving data for a future amendment. If you are actually going to be making changes to your IRB application, please answer no to this question. The reason why you want to answer no is because all changes, according to CUNY policy, any change that you make to your IRB application must be approved by the HRPP or IRB prior to implementation. So if you're making a change, even if it's just, I need to add new key personnel, or I'm changing the format of my survey, or I'm up, sometimes you make typos and you find a typo and you want to change the typo, you still have to submit all of that to your HRPP office. And the only way that that gets submitted on IRBManager is if you answer no to the populate question. So if you need to submit a continuing review or final report for an application on IRBManager, it is very similar to the amendment creation process. So what you would do is you're going to click on the protocol number that you are going to submit the form for. On your left side, you're going to click on the Start X Forms link under the project site or under Actions. Now you're going to see a new set of forms appear. The continuing review form, the final report, the event and reporting form. And the event and reporting form is really has to do with if something happens in your research, like an unanticipated problem, an adverse event, maybe a protocol deviation or some sort of non-compliance issue, then you would just use this form to report it to the HRPP or the IRB. As Janet and I stated previously, if you have a protocol on ID8, you need to submit a final report for. And I just want to make sure that you understand what you can, when you can submit final reports. So you can submit a final report once research activities have completed. So if you are only conducting data analysis of de-identified data or data that does not contain any identifiers, there is no reason why you need to keep the application active. So like, let's say you're just analyzing the data to use in a future publication, but you have no plans to collect additional data, you have no plans to interact or intervene with subjects. If you have no identifiers or you've deleted the identifiers from the data set, then you can submit a final report. At Oracle, and I'm sure Trisha does this as well, if you did collect identifiers or you had a coded data set during the time of final report, we will ask you just to confirm that those things have been deleted, the codes have been deleted, or the identifiers have been deleted from the data sets. So it's the process for submitting a continuing review events reporting forum, final report. It's exactly the same as the protocol submission, which is just clicking on the link and it's going to upload a copy of the form. As a note, I also wanted to explain to you the linking of CITI information to IRBManager. One of the great features from IRBManager is that it is going to be able to link to your city certification. To make sure that your city certification is linked correctly, you need to go into the city program site and make sure that your campus email address is listed as the primary email address. One of the ways that you can check to make sure that your city certificate is appearing is to look in your settings. So on the top right corner, you're going to see your settings. So it'll say your name and settings. It says Keisha setting because that's my name. You're going to look under my expirations, and your city HSR training should be appearing in this section. If it's not, the first thing, and we do have instructions, and so does the so does IRBManager. The first thing that you can do is go to your dashboard. You're going to start the X form, and you're going to click on update my email address. And in the form, you'll just type in the email address, and it should be a campus email address. Click on next, and then submit. Your profile will be updated with your campus email address. And that's a step that all of you should take so that you have your campus email address in your profile. The reason why we want you to have your campus email address in your profile is because, as it was mentioned when in my introduction, I was a CCNY student, and also I've worked at Baruch. And sometimes your CUNY First information, your CUNY First profile may not be connected to your correct campus, depending on how many affiliations you have with CUNY. So we ask you to add your campus email address to your profile so that when you receive notifications, that it's always copied to your campus email address. Okay. One of the other things on your dashboard is the notices section. It's an important section that you should be checking once when you log on to IRBManager. It's pretty much updated on I would say on a bi-weekly basis. It has a lot of resources. A lot of the information that Jenna and I have discussed is in the notices section. And it also has resources available. Here, resources, these are all the videos. For those of you that are interested, there our website, which is oracle.baruch.cuny.edu. Janet will put that in the chat for you. Also contains a lot of resources for human subjects. We have different sections because we also oversee different areas of research compliance. But we do have a human subject section. We have an IRBManager help library. All of those videos are also on your dashboard in the notices section. A lot of the things that I've gone over today are in these videos, but there are some frequently asked questions that you may forget some things that I've just said. And a lot of the information are in these very short videos. Our videos go from about 30 seconds to 12 minutes. For those of you that are interested in transferring your Ideate application information to IRBManager yourselves, we do have about a 12-minute video that just goes over that process. But we also have some different FAQs that a lot of people ask about, like finding your approved projects, your approved letter and stamp documents, and things like that. For those of you that may be interested in just regular human subjects training, we do have a human subjects training library, and it just goes over some of the basic human subjects issues that occur, like knowing when your project needs IRB review, what level of review does it require, the requirements for reach compensation, deception, all of these things. And it's all open and free, and you can use whatever you want and look at whatever videos that you're interested in looking at. I'm going to look at the chat just to see if there are any questions. Someone asked about the link to the thing. Yes, I will give you, I'll put the link in here. And I will, of course, your HRPP coordinator, Trisha, who I've known for years, is great. So she would be able to help you as well. Are there any other questions? Okay, well, I think that's it for our presentation. I know we can open the floor for questions. If you have any questions or comments or concerns, please feel free to ask.
So there seems to be one additional question in the chat, or no, Janet, you answered somebody's question. So I want to say first, thank you, Keisha. Thank you, Janet. This has been fantastic. I'm pleased with the number of questions and the people that have turned out. And I apologize that Trish is not available, but she's had a family emergency. But you can also reach out to Trisha Mayhew Noel, and that information was also put in the chat. I do see one last thing over there.
Someone's asking where the city credentials are supposed to be displayed.
Can you show again where?
Yes.
Credentials are?
Okay, so what you're going to see is going to be under your settings. So it has my name here, but it'll have so when you log on to IRBManager, and I'll just show it to you so you can see what it looks like in your point of view. You're going to click here, the little person, and it's going to give you a menu. You're going to see your name and settings. And you're going to see my expirations. And this is where your training, and it should be your current training. So whatever your current training is, CITI training, should appear in this section. If it doesn't, contact your HRPP coordinator or try the step that I explained, which is to update your email. Because when you initially log on with your CUNY First email address, it only has the CUNY First email address. It doesn't have your CCNY email address. It just has johndoe@login.cuny.edu. So in order to get the system to connect your CITI certification to IRBManager, and also it's just good form to have your campus email address as your copy, because sometimes things go wrong with this CUNY First. Sometimes it gets connected to something else, maybe another affiliation. So you just want to make sure that it has that information in there. So what you would do is just to go to your dashboard. You're going to click on Start X-Form, and you're going to click on the Update My Email Address link. And it's going to take you to a short form. And what you're going to do is just type in your email address. And then click on Next and click on Submit. Once you do that, it's going to update your profile with so it's going to update the CC. So you're never going to see, or you should never see, your CCNY email address, because it's only going to update the copy part of your profile, and your CUNY First email address is always going to appear. So if you see a CUNY First email address, don't panic. It's not a problem. That's just the way the system is. Every time you log in, even if you try to change it, when you log in again, it's going to change it back to the CUNY First, which is why we have the system add your campus email address as a copy. Once you've done that, wait 24 hours. The IRBManager updates the system with the city information every day at 7 a.m. So it only updates once a day. And so if you do it at 6 o'clock in the evening, expect that it should be done by 7 a.m. the next day. So you'll need to wait until the next day to make sure that it's updated. If it's not updated, then contact Trisha, and we'll resolve the issue on our end. But I would also suggest that you make sure that you log on to the city program website, and that your primary email address is either your CCNY email address or a CUNY email address that is what is designated as a primary. Whatever you designate as the primary email address in in the city website should be the email address that you add to IRBManager as the copy, so that your city certificate information is added to your profile.
So again, I want to thank everyone. We've gone over our 3 o'clock, but this again has been very informative and I think very useful. So thank you again. And Keisha, your website on Baruch is fantastic. And again, if anybody has questions, you have the link to that website, and we will try to replicate something like that here at City College. But thank you again. Thank you everyone for logging in. And if you do have questions, feel free to reach out to Trisha. And I don't believe Keisha would mind if you reached out to her either. So
no, I'll be fine. No, you can reach out to me. We're used to it. And also feel free to we have a lot of resources on our website, a lot of things.
Certainly do.
Feel free to use anything that you want. And Tricia knows this as well. You know, we are, you can take as much as you want. We're not, stingy. So you can take as much as you want. You can, like I said, there's a lot of great resources on there to assist you. But if you have questions, you can always reach out to me. You can reach out to Janet. We're fine with that as well.
So again, thank you both, Keisha and Janet. And thanks everyone for signing in. And I think we'll conclude at this point. Thank you again. Bye-bye.